Cheers. First episode.
First episode. SippinOnYac.
Put some boobies out there.
Boobies.
Okay, welcome everybody. First real episode since forming the league. All 12 people said yes and that they were super down. And I really freaking appreciate that, including you two for wanting to do this. Just hoping that this can make the league even more fun than fantasy football already is and give us a platform to be able to share our ideas and talk shit and give people an opportunity to come on and give their views of the league, other opponents, players, and if you're really good at fantasy football, it doesn't really matter that who people know who you like when going into the draft and everything else, because the season definitely doesn't start and it doesn't stop at the draft and continues on from there, and it's a freaking grind, and this can be a way to have some more fun during the whole season with everybody. So thank you all for who's watching right now and who's watching in the future, and I appreciate you guys. But anything you guys would like to say before we get rolling here?
Come on into the show and tell me who you're going to draft.
I think that's a good point. If you're good at fantasy football, it doesn't matter that we tell you our draft strategies, because ultimately we're better than you.
Let's never forget.
And you guys can hear it and get all the help you need, but it doesn't matter.
All right. Okay, so first show that we wanted to go over, all of the shows leading up to the draft is to prepare for the draft, and then the structure will change a little bit. We want to get some of our friends on and, talk about the season and their draft, their players, any upcoming big matchups between teams. Then we invite any and all to come on, and I'll make sure to send out a text ahead of time asking if anybody would want to come on and just have a good time bullshitting up here with us. But first show was going to be draft philosophy, meaning for QB and tight end, where exactly you're looking to take a quarterback or a tight end. It can vary a lot, and pretty much any of these strategies have been successful, but you just have to pick the right players, obviously, and then see what happens after that, and then adjust if you made a bad call and have to pick up somebody else. But
Pivot.
Pivot. So the strategy that I've always implored, we'll do quarterback first. The strategy that I've implored is definitely going for the late round quarterback. There's a lot of guys that have a lot of questions, and it's really just like a roll of the dice of, you're paying such a low price for something that could explode and be a great product. Like 2 years ago, I had Lamar Jackson, who, that was his MVP season, but I wasn't looking at it as like, I'm going to take the MVP of the league. I'm just, swinging the bat later on in the draft and then try to capitalize on my higher picks, getting wide receivers and running backs and taking more swings there. Last year, had Josh Allen and rode him to the championship. So I'm definitely a late round advocate. What strategies have you guys employed and has worked for you?
I will say one strategy I know that doesn't work is falling in love with a QB. So, for instance, one of our viewers, TJ, he fell in love with Baker Mayfield and Odell Beckham, and those are his two first picks. And I know he can say, if he's still in the chat, it didn't work out too well. So I'm usually a late round QB guy, but I also like to pair a wide receiver and stack a QB, or if it's a really good tight end. So we talked about Kelsey and Mahomes earlier. I've never had either of them because I don't want to spend that high on a tight end or QB, but lately whoever has been, they've made it to the playoffs most times than not. So
50 free points.
Yeah, it's 50 free points every week, but if I can get like a Russ is usually, it's harder in our league, like the Siwoo League, and any Seattle League, I guess, for Russ to stay on the board. But, my stack didn't work too well last year with Michael Thomas and Drew Brees, which I traded for. But if I could get like a Russ or DK, or even like, you got some late flyers, like you talk about Dak and stuff later, but usually I like to do the stack. That's me.
So I'm all about taking tight ends early.
Yeah, Jenny.
Okay. Fair enough.
Okay, jerk.
I'm all about taking tight ends early. I liked Gronk in his prime. I like Kelsey now. I like, Kittle. Obviously, he's had some injury stuff, but I really like him too. My philosophy is you take a tight end early. Obviously with any player ever, there's always injury concerns. But you get a guy like Gronk in his prime or Kelsey now, his average game compared to the mid to low tier tight ends average games just gives you such an advantage.
Yeah.
So I'm all about taking an early tight end. If I'm late first round even, and depending on who's off the board, I'll go for Kelsey first round. If he's in the second round, I'm taking him. I don't care where I'm at.
Yeah. And that's, I think, what Adrian was saying, where you actually can benefit from taking a QB early on in the draft if you can pair him with somebody like that, where when you have that stack, like, okay, if the Chiefs, obviously they're going to win a lot of games. They're going to have a lot of good games. When you can pair those two together, it's, half the points for your team every week. And then with tight ends, it's just so shallow. The pool of actual legit players that you can use is so
three
shallow
reliable tight ends
that you can capitalize on that big time. And that's why we'll get to Kyle Pitts. It's a huge name to talk about.
Kyle Pitts.
Me saying that I love to go the late round QB route obviously does not mean that that's the only thing that can win, but that's just where I like to go. I like to try to take a couple swings at late round QB to where you can have a guy that could be pretty reliable if you get like a Kirk Cousins last year, who actually very underrated. And then pair that with like a rookie QB like Justin Fields or
Big knee.
Fuck you, Squeeze.
Weak strategy, Steve.
If you can like pair just, a kind of an average quarterback that you kind of know what they are in the league, a Matt Ryan, Kirk Cousins, and then pair that with a potential high upside for this year, Justin Fields or Trey Lance, who are athletic and that can run. If it doesn't work out, well, then there goes your 15th pick of the draft, and it doesn't really frickin' matter that much.
Yeah.
So I like to take a couple swings at the end.
As a quick aside, if you're going to take tight end early, you're taking QB late. Very late. You can't, you can, but you're really going to be suffering in your running back wide receivers.
That's a good point.
And Squeeze is just upset that the only reason he won last year in the championships because I didn't have my first round pick. And they took my quarterback out early because he was killing it so much. But be that as it may.
Scored too many points for you in the first half.
He scored too many points. It was Josh Allen, for those of you who are curious. They took him out of the game because he was scoring 10 points a drive.
Yep. Okay, so now how we want to break down the quarterbacks first is going to be in these like high QB, which I was looking at as if you're taking a quarterback between rounds 1 and 4. Mid rounds could be like low 4 to 8 or 9 rounds, and then those late round QBs where I've taken guys in the 10th and below. And I'm going to just put some names out there for us to think about, and then there are some question marks on these guys of, am I putting them in the correct tier? We're going to have to do some like mock drafts and see where, these guys are going from computer pace and everything. Our league, everyone's league tends to definitely have some swings, and it doesn't look like how the computer's generating it or what these boards are doing, which is what makes, every league so freaking fun.
Especially where Seattle's involved.
Exactly. Like every team's home team, it's bias. There's going to be guys that are taken higher, but it worked out actually for DK Metcalf and the first half for Russell. Top of the draft QBs is obviously Mahomes. He's probably going to be going in the third again, and that's probably where you should take him. He's going to be the favorite for the MVP. The guy's
so you're saying there's no first-round QB this year?
Oh, I would imagine Mahomes probably going to be gone by the end of the second in most leagues.
He could, yeah.
I think Mahomes and Josh Allen are like, I wouldn't be surprised to see him gone in the second. I'm not going to be taking him in that round, but
maybe if, like you're saying, can get Kelsey at the end of the first or something, you may be tempted because that's
no. So I'm not a big stat guy.
Yeah.
I don't think I think the stack. I mean, the players are going to score what they score, and having a player stacked together, I don't see it as a huge benefit, especially when like a Travis Kelce, who I would take in the first or the second, would then require me to take, Pat Mahomes in probably the second or the third or maybe the
missing
fourth.
Out on the running back.
That's
that you took.
two of my top four picks is now.
Steve's not a big stat guy.
No. Dude, and I commend you for the stacks.
I'm
There's been a lot of times where I try to trade for another guy mid-season. I tried to trade for Stephon Diggs so hard last year when I had Josh Allen but Joey Castonia had him, so that was never going to happen. But, okay, the other guys that I have on here at the top is going to be Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers, we talked about that before going on, was...
Assuming he stays as a Packer.
Right, then he's going to be at the top for sure. Russell Wilson, especially for our league, is going to be taken early by somebody probably.
Tots.
I think he went in the fourth. Yeah, he went in the fourth last year.
Tots is taking him in the third. Right after DK in the second.
And then some guys that are on the fringe that...
the best.
Thanks, Squeeze. That was a low blow.
Sorry about that.
Some of the other guys that I think are on the fringe up there are going to be Kyler Murray for his running ability. He had 10 rushing touchdowns, I think, last year, which is just going to, obviously get you points. Lamar Jackson, are people going to, take that as just he had a blip in the radar and then bounce back to where he was a couple years ago? Same with Kyler Murray. The rushing ability is there. And then Tom Brady last year was fantastic, and Las Vegas has him.
TB12.
They have him leading the league in betting for passing yards. So
Brady fell I'm pretty sure he's one of the late rounders. If not, didn't even get picked last year.
He was late.
He was late.
Yeah.
And now this year I can see him being fifth round potential, like you said, tier 1 QB. So
he's got a lot of weapons.
I just think they're going to be such a dominant team. They're going to be up 2 touchdowns by halftime, and they're just going to run the ball. And I mean, I think Brady could. He's obviously has the capability and the weapons, but I think they're going to be such a dominant team. They're just going to pound the ball, waste the time because they're going to be up so far.
They're dominant because of Brady, though.
What that comes to is I don't think Brady's going to have to do it, I don't think he's going to have to be putting up a bunch of fantasy points to win games.
We don't need to go into that too far, but I do think that Bruce Arians is an asshole that loves to run up the score. So, and we saw that
It could be,
last year.
See,
and this, I love this, the bias that comes in from having them on the team. Lamar screwed me last year. Fuck that dude, weak ass arm.
I'm with Tyler, dude. I think Danny Dimes is going to be a big dude this year.
Oh, we'll be getting to Danny Dimes for sure. Absolutely.
That comes a little later, but I'm with you, Tyler.
See, I'm hoping that Lamar Jackson burned people, and then I want to take advantage of that burn. And if he drops and becomes one of these mid-rounder QBs, if he drops a tier, then that's something that I would maybe want to buy low on. But I think with the mock drafts will help.
Would you take him in the fourth?
Not in the fourth, no. But I'm a late round QB guy. Yeah. But okay, so the mid tier, And these are guys that we have a couple starred on here that we think could be higher. Justin Herbert, number 1, looked so fantastic last year. They improved the offensive line. He's going to have better chemistry with the wide receivers.
He's going to have Eckler back.
Eckler, who caught so many passes last year. Justin Herbert is somebody that I wish I could take as, in the 8th or 9th round, but I think he's going to be gone.
Yeah.
No, I think he's going to be gone. Other ones was Dak. I would love taking Dak, even in the 6th or 7th, I think could be worth it, the way their defense sucks and having to pass to stay in games.
They were one of the best offenses before he went down too. So
Yeah.
I mean, they got proof they can do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And then just a couple other names was, I think people are going to love Trevor Lawrence and his running ability. Matthew Stafford is a total wild card. Ryan Tannehill looked really good last year. He can run as well. And then Jalen Hurts, and I kind of threw Joe Burrow as a potential
question mark. Yeah.
If he doesn't die, half of the season again.
Wentz about to be a dark horse. He's another guy that we're going to be talking about in the back. How do you guys feel about the trade rumors?
Oh, we did. Yeah, we forgot to talk about Julio. Dude, I don't think he's going to the Hawks. The Rams are, I guess, they're out now. I guess they were big players at first, but the rumor is that they're out now, and that the Patriots are the favorites. I think if he goes to the Patriots, Cam, who we'll talk about, is going to be up probably in the mid-rounders at least.
He would then, Cam Newton, if we skip ahead, would then have the ultimate position receiver in Julio Jones that can do it all when he's healthy. The deep threat in Nelson Aguilar that we saw explode last year over the top. And those tight ends in the middle, Cam Newton could be a freaking steal.
James White, the Mr. Receiving running back, he's still on the team, and he got 12 running Cam got 12 running touchdowns last year, so.
Julian.
I think they're...
What if? I don't want...
Then Russell is one of those top guys.
We can tease each other all day about Julio going to the Hawks, but I don't think it's going to happen.
The report was it would be for a equivalent first-round pick.
Yeah, they've been trying to get that first round.
That's why LA's out.
We don't have our first-round pick, but the key word's equivalent. So it would be a second and third. Would you be okay with that?
Well, absolutely.
But
what about
all day
for Bobby Wagner?
Nah. See, what the Falcons are struggling with and why they can't get a first rounder is because they are in such cap hell that they just cannot take his contract. So they want to give a third or a second and then have Atlanta take a bite out of that contract, but they're so proud because they got a second rounder for Mohamed frickin' Sanu, and if they can't get a second rounder for Julio after getting second for Sanu, they're going to be running with their tail between their legs.
I can't imagine they're turning around second rounders right now.
Or what about a fourth round pick and Tyler Lockett?
I think it would be worth it. What?
Fourth round pick and Tyler Lockett.
I would do that too.
Yeah. Oh, I think. Yeah. That's.
Yeah,
I'd love Lockett, but that's an easy yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so Cam didn't have preseason. He got COVID in the middle of the year. He still ended 7-8 on arguably the most difficult playbook in the league. I mean, I think, he did look pretty weak last year, but he had a lot going against him. He's going to have OTAs this year. It's going to be his second year in. And
there better have been something wrong with his shoulder, because how many times Cam spiked the ball into the dirt after doing this huge wind-up to then be short with the throw. It scared me. But for fantasy with the touchdowns,
I think
he's going to be
LJ Collier
be up
stopped
there.
him at the 1 yard line, and he hit his shoulder into the ground.
Yeah. That's what happens when you play the Hawks, man. You get fucked up.
Like
ever
since the playoffs.
Then, he was considered the GOAT. And then he got COVID, and then fucking shut the bed.
Well, that was coming into the Seahawks game, that was a huge game because Cam looked nice, the Seahawks looked nice.
He was looking accurate.
Dude, yeah. And then
made all QBs look like...
It's for real. No, for real. Dude, that could be that's something that I want to do a segment like for myself of like the Seahawks pessimist. Like I have.
You
so
want to
many
be
problems.
the pessimist?
I have so many problems with Pete Carroll's defense of playing in the base with 3 linebackers, like more than any other team in the league by far. When everyone's going nickel to try to stop the passing game, we just refuse to change Pete's system. But that's neither here nor there.
We'll revisit that.
Yeah.
Your glass
But
is half full, right?
okay, of these mid-rounders, are there some guys that you would like? And we can maybe go through what round they could potentially go. Like I said, I would love if I could get Dak in like the 6th or 7th round. I would jump on that.
Yeah, I think there's pretty much. I mean, aside from Trevor Lawrence, I don't think I'm gonna go for Trevor Lawrence this year.
What about in like the 8th?
Well, assuming he drops that far, I just really, with all the hype around him, I don't think he's gonna last to where I'd feel comfortable picking him. I think he's a 7-8 rounder. I mean, he's got a lot of work to do.
We had just all together, like the first round, we had Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, and then
Justin Fields.
and
Mac Jones.
Of those 5, probably 4 or at least 3 of them are gonna be a bust. Or it could be one of the greatest. But
well, a couple of those
first round
guys,
drafts of all time.
even their starting is a question mark.
Yeah.
So just through NFL history, like only a select few first round picks ever do anything.
I think that's changing though with the way that college football is changing. College football used to be so ground and pound smash mouth, and now it's become spread with like 7-on-7 going in the off season for wide receivers and quarterbacks. It's no coincidence that all of a sudden wide receivers are looking filthy in year 1 as well as some of these quarterbacks. Before Joe Burrow got hurt, he looked good. Herbert looked fantastic. Like, I just don't think it's a coincidence, and I think this is the way the game is going.
I'm going to do an early bust prediction. It's
Oh.
going to be Trey Lance and Zach Wilson. As much as I like Zach Wilson,
Something tells me there's
You
a
were
little
on
bit
the
of
train
a
with me.
bias
I
of Trey
was.
Lance.
It's just,
Yeah, the Niners.
yeah, I feel my ways about Trey Lance, but Zach Wilson, he just has that, look. Unless under his Utah.
It's that meme you sent me of him standing next to Jamar Chase and Kyle Pitts, and he was looking around
looking all
like,
scared, yeah.
oh shit.
Jags, what does that say? Jags backfield?
What do you guys think happens in the Jags?
Tua is a hidden gem.
We'll see. We'll see about Tua, man. I think he's gonna be an average QB.
Tua's got great weapons.
He ain't
but
gonna be
he didn't
bad.
look good last year.
He ain't gonna be bad, but I don't think he's gonna be like anything.
So wait, what are
The Jags backfield, I don't know, Squeeze, if you've seen the reports of Travis Etienne has been practicing strictly at wide receiver. They have been putting him in the slot and have been doing training specifically at wide receiver.
Zac Efron?
Zach.
Yeah.
Actually, that's a pretty good take. But I think Etienne is going to be that kind of scat back guy that they put in the slot, and then if we see the coverage, they bring in somebody to cover the slot as him for like a DB. Then they can motion him into the backfield and then pound the ball.
So he'd be like a Kamara and Ingram situation.
I think so. And I don't think... I think James Robinson, people are so scared of what he... Like, okay, he's not going to be a second-round pick like, we thought he could be last year. But he could be a sleeper in the fact that he could maintain his role as the between-the-tackles runner. And then Etienne could be more of a slot
Dude, and
gadget kind of guy.
he's a goal line kind of guy too.
Yeah. Rookie last year?
He was an undrafted rookie,
Undrafted,
UDFA.
so he's almost like a Carson.
James Robb all in. Question mark. Squeeze, what do you think?
You pick him in the first
You're
round.
talking about him. It means he's on your mind. What do you think?
I mean, I try to get James Robinson from Julian multiple
yeah.
times.
Yeah.
Dude,
in the league,
I would
and
happily
he would not
pick him up.
budge.
Yeah.
I'm all in on James Robb.
If he's like
James
the
Robb-
late mid rounders,
Right,
I'm
if-
there, man. I'm
If
all
you're
about it.
swinging just like, if I'm taking a QB late, that's just more swings in 5th, 6th, 7th, and all those things, wide receivers and running backs. He's a guy that could end up being a steal in the 6th or 5th round or something like that.
And it's just like Nick Chubb and
Give me a beer.
what's his face, Kareem Hunt.
Yeah, ooh, squeeze C, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Niners are starting Jimmy G. It's going to be at least a few weeks before Lance gets in there, if at all.
It's going to be hard with Jimmy G just because their team is so stacked that he may not even be all that good, but they could be winning games.
Yeah.
So if they start out 4-0 with Jimmy G, how are you going to bench him? Even if he's really not doing all that much on the field for him.
Yeah.
But Jimmy G is their guy. Like
Jimmy G's
for
a
the
nice.
players.
He's not a bad
Then
quarterback.
why the hell
too.
did they draft Trey Lance with pick
not
3?
the organization, but for the players. Like
Have you heard
he is their guy.
George Kittle's interviews now are just talking about how like awesome Trey Lance looks?
Really?
I think it's very easy for the players to
Really?
just back whoever the hell's going to be the starter because they want to catch passes regardless of who's going to be there.
You know, if Kittle can stay healthy.
Diggs ending top 3.
I think no, just because of regression, but that's hard to say.
I think
Dude, what did Diggs end last year at?
I think at wide receiver 3 or 2.
he was 2, wasn't he?
I think
Right
he might have
behind.
been Yeah, Devontae Adams.
Devontae Adams.
I think he'll still be top 5. Because.
I think 3's a great
like,
line.
He did not slow down. And that was year 3. He's only going to get smarter, better, not make the same mistakes. That was their first year together.
But that was the first time that was the first year he went off. So I think he's heading for a little bit of regression. I would say Diggs ends up wide receivers 5 or 6.
Yeah.
That's where I'd put him at. I think that's what you're saying too.
My thing with like the regression is that they threw the ball so much more than teams expected. Like, remember when Pete in his interview was like, they literally didn't run the ball, and I freaking wasn't expecting that whatsoever. Well, when you're in base rocking 3 linebackers, then yeah, teams are going to pass over and over again.
No.
Hold on, we'll get to Stafford, but real quick with Diggs, my only thing is I think the Bills are going to start running the ball a little bit more because they're going to have to with defenses adjusting to Dayball and Allen's high-flying offense. But
I agree with that.
Stafford is in our mid-rounders. What do you guys think about Stafford?
Scared of that dude.
Considering like maybe rounds 7 through 9 or something like that.
I always think Stafford's just is like a mid-tier guy. But I feel like people want to shit on Goff so much. I still think Stafford...
He's becoming underrated at this point.
I think he's a pretty good
Stafford and
quarterback.
Goff are really not that far off from each other.
Dude, all the media
Honestly.
that I follow, right, all these
People
things,
wanna
it's so
put
divided.
Stafford as a god, and it's like Stafford has made mistakes. Like he's diced up the Hawks,
Yeah.
but so has Goff.
Yeah.
Like they both.
But Stafford's done it with a lot less than Goff.
He had Megatron when he faced the Hawks.
And they had one of the best offenses in the league that year. He threw 40 touchdown passes and went to the playoffs.
I just think, I think he can sling it, but it's just like the man's a loser.
Dude.
It's infected.
Dude.
He's
The
a
Lions have
You can
infected
only
him.
do so much on a team that just sucks.
If I can get Stafford in like the 9th round or something like that, I think I'd be happy with
Now
it.
he's got weapons, he's got an O-line, he's got a run game. He didn't have any of that.
No.
I stand corrected. He had Kenny Galladay and Marvin Jones. That's
question.
Those are pretty
Question
solid
for
weapons.
you though, if you're more of a Stafford guy, obviously, than Adrian is. Do you think Sean McVay's system actually helps him for fantasy, or does it kind of slow him down a little bit?
I think it helps him. I think they're such a run-heavy team that he's just going to be handing the ball off or dumping off short until he sees that big play, which we all know Stafford can huck the ball.
So he could have his actual efficiency could maybe outweigh the volume passing that he had to ugly
And
crap it.
that's why I'm not going to target him in fantasy.
Okay.
tell you right now, Stafford's a bum. And we're going to find out he can't hang in the NFC West this year.
You
see.
really sound like a Hawks homer.
I'll give credit to Kyler.
TJ, what do you... Sorry, I'm sorry to cut you off.
Yeah.
TJ, what do you think about Stafford?
TJ's going to back me. Right now, I'd say NFC West QBs, Stafford, Jimmy G, Kyler. Russ.
You put Jimmy
Why
G
are they
over
getting
Stafford?
rid of Jimmy G then?
Dude, I think. Oh my God,
The
I
Rams
think
wouldn't have had to
Jimmy.
give up shit for Jimmy G.
I think Jimmy, Arizona. What's his name?
Kyler.
Stafford, and Russ.
I have it that way as well.
Yeah, I think Jimmy's at the bottom. I don't think Jimmy's
Not
bad.
for fantasy, but in terms of real
Just
quarterback
overall.
play, I
Stafford,
agree with you
Jimmy
100%.
Cup or Woods.
Or Trey Lance.
I think Woods all day. I love Cup.
Yeah.
But Woods is just going to be more
We saw
fantasy.
that-
Fantasy-wise, Woods is going to be more consistent.
Woods is consistent. He'll get the yards. He may not get the touchdowns. He's just like an Emmanuel Sanders.
It's hard to say, though, because this year Woods had more touchdowns than Cup. So
Did he really?
why I would take Woods ahead of Cup is when we see Cup's TDs fall off. He was a very up-and-down player. Had big weeks, but bad weeks.
Adrian Sauces. Is that supposed to say?
Yeah,
Sauce?
for real.
Porn star G.
My thing with Kyler is I think it's kind of obvious that he struggles throwing over the middle. For fantasy, he's obviously better than
But he
Stafford,
got
but
the dusty ankles, AJ Green.
yeah,
For his weapons.
Lord.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe we could move. Oh no, a guy that I really want to talk about is Jalen Hurts. The fantasy football community, if you guys are into watching like PFF, the media, all that stuff, in terms of fantasy, really like Jalen Hurts because he did explode at the end of the year with the designed runs for him
Yep.
and the scrambling
Yep.
ability.
I'm a Hurts fan, and which also means I'm a Miles Sanders fan. I think between the two of them, they're gonna have a big year.
So I was trying to convince Steve for like the first half of the season that Wentz was like broken, done.
Yeah.
And he finally saw it and like was like, yep. And then
Okay.
No, I actually fell asleep. What did I say was sus? But no, I didn't fall asleep. I was getting drunk on a boat in the sun.
But what were we? Fucking Hurts. So you could literally watch last season when Hurts finally came in, like how much better that team started to play. With Wentz, it was like their soul was getting crushed. They couldn't do anything. So I think Hurts is all in on Hurts.
What round would you consider drafting him?
He's a late round pick.
Late round pick? I think he's going to be gone. What do you mean by late round pick? Because I put him
Mine
in
is
the
like
mid rounders for
7th
me.
and 8th. I mean, if a QB isn't in, for me, like an early QB is like 4th or 5th for me. And then late is like 7th, 8th, and beyond.
So realistically,
So there's no mid.
where do you see Hurts
I
getting
guess that would be
picked?
my mid.
Not where would you pick him, but where do you see Hurts getting picked?
Maybe 6th. It depends if you get the rookie, the Heisman winner,
Devontae Smith.
Devontae Smith. He did just get one of the freakiest dudes to ever come out of college.
Most productive, for sure.
The Slim Reaper.
Yeah, that's kind of the way I see him as well.
Yeah.
For Hurts. I personally I think Hurts sucks as a
Trey
thrower.
Lance is bummy.
He was good for fantasy because of the scrambling and the designed runs, but I think he's bad as a thrower. I'm going to be avoiding Devontae Smith, all of those guys, because I just personally don't see him throwing that well on the outside. Tua made him look like such a scrubby thrower at Alabama that they benched Hurts halfway through the national title game to throw in the freshman to fucking sling it to the outside.
So are you?
I'm worried that if I draft Hurts to be a good fantasy player and he just isn't good enough as a real life QB that they can't start generating enough points. So I'm out on the Jalen Hurts thing.
Personally, I would have put Tua instead of Hurts.
Tua.
Yeah. I think Tua's legit.
Now, are we still talking fantasy or are we talking real life football?
I'm talking fantasy football.
Because fantasy, Hurts runs the shit out of the ball. Tua does not. I think that puts
for
Hurts.
Tua.
I think that puts Hurts ahead of Tua.
See, I'm not in on Tua at all. But
Fantasy?
no.
Okay.
I think they've got great weapons, but I've been watching all of these games from the season on Game Pass, right?
Tua time.
Tua, they did play action and bootlegs, and that is it. He never was throwing like outside to Devontae Parker or anything like that. Squeeze was trying to trade me like Devontae Parker on top of like all these other players as like a bonus, because when we saw Tua go in there, Devontae Parker drove off a cliff in terms of fantasy production. And I think that's, and Mike Gesicki was good because of the play action and bootlegs and throwing over the middle where it's wide open and he's out on the side of the line. I don't think Tua is very good. So I'm staying away from him.
Quick aside, where do you guys think Gesicki's at this year? Assuming Tua stays where he is.
I think him as an actual player is very good.
Fantasy-wise? End of the draft?
Yeah, I'd be looking at Gesicki for sure.
I would look at him if all my tight ends shit the bed and I couldn't pick one. And they just got away from me. And I'm like, fuck, might as well get Gesicki.
Well, then what do you see with Tua? What is it that's got you so hot and bothered?
I'm just a big Tua guy. He's a lefty. He can sling the ball.
We're getting there right next.
I'm not sure if you can really say he can't run. He can definitely run the ball. And he's got a great team around him.
I think he's slow as fuck. I don't know what you were watching, but
I think he's not Hurts. He's not Lamar Jackson, but he's the type that's gonna look to pass before he runs. But he can pick up a first down. He's not gonna run 100 yards a game.
I saw Jared Goff run for some first downs last year.
Jared Goff, he's a tall dude. He's got a lot of length.
Okay, so I would say.
Question? How do y'all feel about Fitz magic?
We're about to get right there. We're going to go to the late round QBs. But I think out of this, the guys that I'm looking at for the mid round QBs, I think Tannehill is an extremely underrated player, and he's a guy I'd be looking at if they drop. I love Justin Herbert. He's my favorite guy out of this tier, but I think he's going to be gone before I want to take him.
I think Herbert could easily jump to the high QBs.
Yeah, and same with Dak. I think if people are sleeping on Dak because he broke his ankle, I'm not factoring that into it really at all. I would love Dak, but I think he's probably going to be gone too early too. But, okay, if we want to go to then Fitzpatrick for the first late rounder, I love taking Fitzpatrick. In my strategy of taking the veteran guy and maybe pairing him with a high upside rookie QB with my last pick of the draft or something, I would love Ryan Fitzpatrick.
That'd be a fun guy to get. Just because any given Sunday, he can throw 3 picks, but he could throw 4, 5, 6 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Super high upside, especially with, they added another wide receiver, but they have
Curtis Samuel.
Scary Terry.
Yeah.
And Scary Terry's never really had anybody that can throw to him.
Yeah.
I think he was there when Kirk Cousins was already gone. And who do they have for him?
No, he was already gone. They had Dwayne Haskins.
Just Dwayne Haskins spending too much money at the strip club. Haskins.
Yeah.
Is this me or you?
With COVID.
This is me. Mine's gone.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm super high on him. I think he could be a mid rounder.
Jenny, MVP producer,
Yeah.
slipping Adrian the beer. No, I would love Ryan Fitzpatrick. Number one, like I was talking about with Devontae Parker, he makes these outside receivers so enticing, like Terry McLaurin or Curtis Samuel, who I think surprised a lot of people last year. And De'Ami Brown getting added in the draft from UNC, who I think is a sleeper pick for them that they got in the 3rd round. Pairing with Antonio Gibson, that's great at catching the ball out of the backfield. Squeeze, I'm all about the Ryan Fitzpatrick. Oh, fuck. Tebow. God.
Tebow!
I don't think he's making
Tebow! The biceps on that man.
He'll make
This
the
guy,
team as a pastor.
He's
10
gonna
touchdowns.
flex with his arms in front of him, and he could catch a ball just fucking with those giant ass biceps.
Remember when everyone was
Chest.
doing the little Tebow pose?
Oh my God, people would clown on him. Yeah, we talked a little
Newton.
bit about Cam Newton already, but
Especially if if the Patriots get Julio Jones,
We got 4 people
Cam
in the chat.
Newton's
Huge.
gonna be a big target of mine. I think with his running and his weapons and the ease of which that he can dump the ball off,
Yeah.
he's going to be, I mean, in his touchdowns, 12 rushing touchdowns last year.
He was their best goal line back.
Yeah, especially when you think about all he had going against him, which I already talked about. I mean, that's second year is going to be nothing but improvement.
And
if
he's
they
the
get,
opposite, to support your point. He's the opposite of Fitzpatrick, who really supports his outside receivers. We've seen him do well with tight ends, with Greg Olsen putting up big numbers.
Yep.
Pairing with Jonnu and Henry, I think, are really good for his numbers.
Yeah. Throwing to big dudes. Big dudes throwing to big dudes.
Johnny
for real.
Smith is one
Kelvin
of my
Benjamin.
favorite tight ends. And it kind of scares me that he's going to the Patriots just because I'm like, he's going to have to compete with Hunter Henry. But when's the last time Hunter Henry's... He may have done it last year. Had a full season without injury.
He was pretty good, but I think they're going to run a lot of 12 personnel, running 2 tight ends.
Big packages, of course, just like the Hernandez and Gronk days.
Yeah, they've got that in the playbook. I think that's going to be what they're rocking. So Hunter Henry may not even hurt Jonnu as much as you would think if they're putting them both on the field.
They might both feast.
Yeah.
And Jonnu's for sure the alpha out of both of them.
I've, like I said,
tight end.
Gone back watching some of the games from this past season. I've seen a little bit of Hunter Henry and Jonnu. Jonnu, even on the little swing passes that he would do, he was breaking DB's ankles in the open field. Like, Jonnu is a really, really good player. But, so then Daniel Jones, if we want to get to Daniel Jones.
Danny Dimes.
Dude's got weapons. He's got dump off. He's got wheels.
He was
unsustainable wheels, but wheels
the
nonetheless.
fastest QB last year.
Yep.
Clocked for that top velocity.
Top velocity.
But you definitely, Steve, seems to be the poster boy for
Dude,
Daniel
I think
Jones.
he's big. I think he's... I hesitate to bring it up. I hesitate to bring it up, but I think with Saquon back, I almost think his lack of a really good offensive line almost helps him. Forces him to scramble, fantasy-wise, not quarterback-wise, but fantasy. Forces him to throw it more to Saquon, forces him to run the ball. I don't really consider Danny Dimes as being a big, I consider him almost an opposite of the new LA quarterback, Stafford. I think he's got an arm, but I think I'd rather see him run the ball and dump it off to Saquon.
He can laser it down the field, though. Blake Jarwin hype. Okay, we got to move quicker to tight ends because Squeeze is getting antsy and wanting to go to tight ends. But just to reiterate, for the increase in Daniel Jones' weapons, adding Kenny Golladay to already Darius Slayton and Shepard, who are pretty good receivers, and then Kadarius Toney looks like an absolute jitterbug. Like, if you go watch his highlight tapes from Florida, shaking people out of their shoes on little option routes. And
I think it's going to be a while before we see really good production out of those guys because, like we talked about earlier, their offensive line isn't the greatest.
No,
they're going to have some trouble airing out the ball. But if things improve, if their offensive line steps up, then that's all the more piling on.
There is one guy on your list I think could be a mid-round, maybe two. But Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
I think, especially with Justin Jefferson going to his second year, I think Kirk Cousins could be mid-rounder.
19 points a game, baby.
And they improved their pass blocking as well. Ezra Cleveland, coming back from last year, actually looked like a good guard pick that they had last year. Adding Darisaw and Wyatt Teller at guard. So then they got left tackle, guard, center, and right guard were pretty good. That could just help Kirk Cousins, give him more time so he's not getting sacked like crazy. He could be another player to do my route of getting the veteran established guy and then a high upside random pick at the end. I think that would be good.
He's a safe quarterback. He's not going to win you any games, but he ain't going to lose you any games.
So as far as points go, what's the difference between a high, mid, and low tier QB?
I put high at mid to low 20s every week. A reliable mid to low 20s guy.
Yeah.
Mid to be 15 15 to 18 points a
but
week.
has that opportunity to get the upside games
Mhm.
as well.
I would
And then
say,
lows everybody else.
I'd say like a high is like in the 20s. Like Russ I'd say is a legit high QB. 20s
For the
but
first half of
a
the year.
lot of times, dude, he's throwing up the 30s
Yeah.
because he can run and whatever.
And he's so efficient at throwing touchdowns.
Mid, I feel like same thing. Like you can do like the teens, top teens, and then every now and then you'll have a breakout game.
If you wanted to, real quick to talk about Julio Jones, if he doesn't go, Matt Ryan is going to be another big time target.
I'm not going to touch Matt Ryan.
If you have Calvin Ridley, Julio Jones, and then Kyle Pitts,
Well, that's
He could
true.
be
Kyle
putting up
Pitts. Yeah, Kyle Pitts.
numbers.
Because last year,
As shitty as
I
QBs
just,
are,
I guess fantasy wise,
Matt Ryan
yeah.
has been leading in the passing yards for years.
because their defense also sucks. I love taking quarterbacks whose defense sucks.
He's always behind. He's just slinging it.
Yeah. And if you throw an interception, it's only -2, and then you're gonna get the ball again to start like slinging some more. Jameis was a
+4
pretty good.
difference.
Oh yeah,
QB back in the
Jameis.
day.
Yep.
But okay, do you guys have any other names, or do you want to go? Do you have any other names, or do you want to go to tight end?
Tight ends.
Okay, my last
Although
name was Joe
there's-
Burrow. If he's healthy, I'm loving Joe Burrow late. in the
I'm a
draft,
big
too.
Joe Burrow guy.
Yeah.
I will say there is one on there that's pretty interesting, and I'm surprised he even listed it. Taysom Hill.
I know. Okay. Yeah.
Because
We don't know who's gonna win that
that's
battle.
kind of hopping in though
Yeah.
to our tight end rankings. Because at
Wow.
one point in the season, you could play him as
Yeah.
a tight end
Make
when
me
he was
puke.
lining up as a QB.
That was
I hated that.
That was
Squeeze,
bullshit.
you took advantage of that, you
Yeah,
bastard.
squeeze. Yeah, that was a molestation of the league.
If he is their QB, he would be a great steal at the end of the draft. But right now, we don't know. We got to see what's coming out of camp of who's like going to be leading it.
I think it's gonna be
Famous
Jameis.
Crab legs Jameis.
Crap like shit.
I just feel like Taysom Hill, like going off Steve, like he's just too much of a Swiss Army knife. You can't just have him at QB throwing back 30 times a game. He's
They
gonna
would-
go out wide.
right.
He's gonna run it. You know.
The team could probably benefit more having Jameis there and then use Taysom somewhere
Yeah.
else. But then they're going to need another quarterback to have as a backup. Okay, moving to tight ends. Obviously, when we are going to do our wide receiver, we're going to do all of our position rankings. For me, it's kind of obvious, and you can battle over it, whatever, but I think it's going to be Travis Kelce, number 1, Darren Waller, number 2, and then George Kittle. I think that's just from having...
I think those are flip flops.
See, that's how it's always been. I don't think so anymore.
I
Just
just think
because of all the
Kittle,
other
yeah.
weapons that the 49ers have.
Not only that, is Kittle hasn't. Darren Waller's been consistent
He
throughout,
balled out last year.
and not only that is Kittle's just been injured. Like the man plays hard. He's always got a cracked rib or some
For
shit.
real, from blocking.
Yeah. And,
He's a Niner. They get injured.
But
Yeah,
what I'm
for
gonna, I know it's early, but I already know it's gonna happen. Kyle Pitts is gonna.
He's going to be my next guy.
He's gonna be adding to that legit. You can actually.
He'll be
have-
the top tier.
Yeah. top
Where are
tier.
you guys picking Kyle Pitts?
I would have him as my 4th tight end, maybe 3rd.
What
So,
round?
I
It's a
may
tough
take him
question.
in like the 5th or something like that.
5th? You
I
take
think-
a shot on him in the 5th?
I think so. Especially if Julio Jones gets traded. They're going to be putting him out wide more than actually inline blocking. Like, Kyle Pitts is a freak of nature. If you haven't watched his tape, he could be a legit number 1 outside receiver.
If my team is looking good, I have no problem taking him in the 4th round.
Yeah. Okay.
If I get either 2 solid running backs and a wide receiver that I feel really good on, basically Pitts for me is adding another top wide receiver.
Yeah. I understand that. Where would you have him?
Well, I already told you guys I'm targeting Travis Kelce. I'd take him probably 1st round, obviously 2nd. So
you could give a fuck about it.
I mean, assuming that I don't get my guy Travis Kelce or Jimmy not Jimmy Kittle, I'd probably take 3rd, 4th round. Kyle Pitts
8th earliest. Have you watched him?
To be honest, I'm kind of with Squeeze right now. I think 8th is a little bit far out, but Assuming I don't have a tight end yet, I'd be looking at the 6th or 7th round.
Why don't you like Kyle Pitts? Why do you hate him?
I hope Squeeze takes him.
Why do you hate him?
The 8th is absurd. That is absurd.
He's unproven talent, and that they got a lot of weapons on that team.
As Miss Pop.
Not if Julio Jones leaves. I'm
Well,
saying
okay,
if Julio's
okay.
gonna
If Julio's
be him
gone,
and Calvin Ridley.
I would be
Eighth
leaning
round
more
is
towards this 5th,
hogwash.
6th.
That is ridiculous.
As
I don't
Miss-
think you've watched his tape.
Miss Poggy
I
would
don't
say
think you've seen
hogwash.
Hogwash.
Okay, then if we want to move into... So, we're actually, I think, in agreement then, if Julio is gone, you would put Pitts more in that top 4 area,
Yeah.
in that higher tier.
To be honest, I'm not a big Darren Waller guy. I think with the...
Yeah.
I know, and I have. To be honest, you're right. I think Darren Waller, I don't like the team he's on. I think he's a stud, but I really don't like the Raiders, and that may be doing me a disservice, but I'm not saying I'd pick Pitts over Waller, but it would be close.
I think the Raiders absolutely suck. But I think John Gruden loves his top weapon and schemes him open well. From the games that I've watched, they've put Darren Waller in motion a lot. They'll have him in the line, see what the box count is, motion him out into the slot. They put him out on the outside and had him running slants. So I understand what you're saying because the Raiders suck. And I don't want anybody else on their team. But the way they scheme him open helps him out a lot.
Loves Darren Waller.
Yeah,
And the fact that the fact that the Raiders suck
Yeah.
kind of does help Darren Waller.
Their defense is going to be awful.
But I think that also limits his red zone potential, which, I mean, I would have said that last year too, and he did it. He had a great
He was
season.
number 2.
I really don't think he's going to be able to keep that up on a bad team.
Okay, now, out of these, I'll go with these 3 names. Which one do you like out of these 3 guys? Mark Andrews, TJ Hawkinson, or Dallas Goddard?
Tim Tebow.
Tebow for sure, but Andrews, I don't know. Hawkinson was cool his rookie year. I mean, he's got Goff thrown to him.
This last year,
is
he
he
was
still-
tight end 3 in total
Hawkinson's?
points. TJ Hawkinson was tight end 3
No.
in total points.
In
Yes, he was.
non-PPR?
In our league, where I had him and won the championship, he
I'm
was tight
limited
end 3.
Dude, what?
I did not ever hear about MCM.
He was a first-round draft pick as
I
a
know,
tight end.
I've followed him a lot his rookie year. I had him.
Hawk, see? Yeah, out of those 3 guys, Andrews, Goddard, and Hawkinson.
So why is he your mid-rounder? You don't think he's legit enough because of
No,
Goff coming in?
no. If you look at, if Kittle was healthy last year, then Hawkinson wouldn't have been number 3. It would have been Kittle, Waller, and Kelsey.
It is crazy how big of a fall-off there is.
I'm not touching Gerald Everett. when
I'm
it's on
not touching
football.
Gerald Everett.
Russell Wilson just
I know
doesn't like
TJ's
throwing over
yeah,
the middle.
I wanted,
In any of
TJ's all
our
about the
leagues,
Gerald Everett.
Gerald Everett's going to be gone way too soon.
You homers can go ahead and...
He would be an
Gerald
end of the
Everett.
end of the draft.
Your
If he's
16th
still there,
pick.
I might pick him up just for the shits and giggles. But
Russell has never had a history of going hard with a tight end, other than Jimmy Graham when he would throw it from the 1-yard line, just toss it up to him.
and that wasn't even like Jimmy Graham. Like even when that was the case, Jimmy Graham wasn't anything special.
Yeah,
in
no.
fantasy.
Had
He
Shane
was
Waldron,
was
though.
decent.
I think that
Fair point.
the
Shane
problem is
Aldrin comes from a tight end coach.
Russell doesn't throw to tight ends. He's not good at throwing over the middle.
They're gonna have him go right or left.
So
Not
they're going to
over
run
the middle.
little outs like
Little
3 yards from the line of
Russ
scrimmage.
Sims.
I'm not in on Jimmy.
Over since Jimmy Graham left, if I was
going
gonna take a shot on a tight end for Seattle,
Gerald
this would
Everett
be the
ain't no
year.
Jimmy Graham, that's for sure.
If Pitts or Waller doesn't fall to me, I'm sniping Everett.
You're in on Gerald Everett too?
I'm a huge fan.
All right, you homers, go
He's
ahead.
Would you
Yeah,
take
so-
him over Logan and the Washington football team?
I don't even know who the fuck
Logan Thomas?
I don't feel him. No.
Do you remember when they played against the
I know the
Seahawks and
white
he
boy.
caught 11 passes against us?
That was at her low point. That was at her low point. I'm just not a fan. He's
I would
hogwash.
obviously take Logan Thomas over there.
I would
for
take
sure.
Logan Thomas
All right.
over him any day.
How about, I think Mark Andrews is a big one. He's a guy that I got burned on wanting to think that Mark Andrews was going to be that step down from the top 3. I thought Andrews was going to be it because of how many touchdowns he caught with Lamar. His freaking broken hands, dropping passes, scorned me big time, and I'm kind of out off the Mark Andrews train.
All I know is Hollywood Brown is not Lamar's guy. It's Mark Andrews. And he had a bad year, but teams also adjusted to Baltimore.
So then out of those 3 guys, Andrews, Goddard, and Hawkinson, which one would you like? You just said fuck Hawkinson when I
I
asked
would
you.
say Kyle Pitts, but you didn't listen. But
I think he's
I would
better.
definitely say Mark Andrews. I've had him a couple years and he did me well. I didn't have him last year, but yeah, I'm a huge Mark Andrews fan.
I'd take Goddard.
I think I'm with you. I'd take Goddard.
I think Goddard is
Goddard just sounds nasty.
he's shown he can do it.
He's the reason why Zach Ertz is
ousted.
gone.
I was gonna say he ousted one of the, like, I would say in the past 5-6 years, one of the greatest tight ends, in Zach Ertz.
Until
So
he
you're
fell
barring
off
last year.
Putting your
athletically.
trust in Jalen Hurts.
No, because
throw to
fuck
Goddard.
Jalen Hurts. But like, I think Rieger is not very good. Hurts, similar to Tua in their offensive run and play action and bootleg, that helps the tight end over the middle quite a bit. And Dallas Goddard, as a player in the NFL, is athletic as fuck.
I think it's a similar situation to Baltimore. You got a running quarterback that throws to his tight end.
Yeah.
They're very similar to me. I think that Goddard's the better tight end,
Fact.
and I think that they're similar throwing skills in the QB.
Man, you guys are acting like Mark Andrews ain't done anything.
Yeah, no, I think Mark Andrews is pretty good. I think he's one of the better tight ends, but I would just rather have Goddard.
Totally got burned on Andrews. Same, yeah.
Well, hey, so TJ stacked Lamar and Andrews then.
Tots can hold a grudge. It was a good pick at the very start of the season because that was a pretty killer duo. It just didn't pan out. I don't blame you on that one, Tots.
Toss has messed his stacks up 2 years in a row.
And Squeeze, did you hear us talk about the Winston Hill
Yeah.
thing?
We're already saying Winston, and then Hill's going to be the Swiss Army knife.
I was going with what you guys were saying, but I think
As soon as-
Taysom will be the starter. I think
I
Sean
feel like as
Payton's
soon
got
as
a man
Winston
crush
messes
on him.
up too, he's gone.
Their system, if they have Kamara and him as the dual threat, similar to what you were saying with Hurts and Sanders with their run game, and Sean Payton just dicing everything up, I think that Taysom will end up being the starter.
And
I
they
know
got-
I'm in the minority there.
They got slant boy Michael Thomas, so he's going to have an easy out.
Yeah, over the
I just
middle.
feel like those little cute tricks, it just doesn't pan out in the NFL. College, yes.
So Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan,
No,
Sean
I just
Payton,
don't think,
none
like,
of those guys.
the QB, that one play's going to line up at QB, then he might run into the slot or tight end. And it's just, I don't know. Somehow it just doesn't work.
No, but you're saying putting Taysom there.
I just think Winston is going to be the guy, and they're going to have Taysom. I mean, when is Taysom? Was it Winston? Yeah, no, it was Teddy Two Gloves, or was it Winston?
No, Teddy came in
It
and
was
went
Teddy
5-0
Two
for
Gloves
that.
at 5-0. So
So I know not to cut in. I know we're
No,
cutting
you're
in
good.
on an hour.
You're good.
I want to talk about Tyler Higbee.
Okay. Yeah.
He was in a team with 2 pretty dang good tight ends.
Mhm.
Now he's got arguably an upgraded quarterback, and his competition left.
Yeah.
I'm putting him above pretty much everyone but the top 3 and Kyle Pitts.
Okay.
I think he's gonna be a dude.
So Noah Fant or Tyler Higbee?
Tyler Higbee.
I wouldn't touch Higbee with the fucking 20-foot.
This guy's got hot takes for days.
I would love Higbee going with one of my last picks if I put him in the late rounders.
Yeah.
Another guy that I really like, my main dude that I want in the late rounds is Irv Smith from the Vikings. They finally realized that frickin' Kyle Rudolph is slow as dick, and we're going to put in the more athletic guy at tight end. And having Thielen, Cook, and Jefferson, so much of the defensive scheme is going to be around stopping the run game and those two on the outside. And Irv Smith at the end of last season, 8 in real football and fantasy football. He had that game where he scored 3 touchdowns in one game. For the late round guys that I want to potentially pop off, I'm looking at Irv Smith.
I like it. I think anyone that pops off towards the end of the season has that momentum going to the next season.
Plus Kyle Rudolph not being on the team anymore. That even accentuates it even more.
Where did Rudolph go?
Trash.
He went to the shit.
He's like the worst Greg Olsen.
I think Kyle Rudolph's pretty damn.
He went to the Giants. He went to the Giants.
That's right. That's
so
right.
Evan Ingram is dead.
I think I like Rudolph.
There is somebody that we didn't talk about
Pretty good.
that could be pretty legit if what's-his-face decides to come back. Robert Tonyan.
Yeah.
Yes.
He was a menace.
Yeah.
He was a touchdown star for sure. He got double-digit tutties.
That dude won me a couple games. And then I dropped him because I'm an idiot.
And there's somebody that I will not ever touch. It's Evan Ingram.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He's dead.
Doesn't matter if Danny Dimes becomes the next, whatever. But.
Squeeze, was that you that was talking about Blake Jarwin?
I think Blake Jarwin's up there.
Yeah.
He's my guy at the end of the draft. If no one picks him up, I want him.
I know that he wasn't great in fantasy, but I think for what the Cowboys are going to need, I think Dalton Schultz did too well for Jarwin to really be that like main dude in their offense.
I think they're going to give him a shot. And if they're going to give him a good shot, they're going to give him some throws, and that is valuable in itself. But if he proves he's worth, proves he's worth the throws, then he's going to be in a great offense.
Big elephant in the room. Rob Gronkowski.
Oh, Gronkowski.
I
I was like, please don't say Tim Tebow again. Fuck.
I put him and Tim Tebow pretty similar right now. They're not guys I'm drafting. I'll buy their jersey before I draft them in fantasy.
He's one of those dudes that didn't do too much, but when it came playoff Super Bowl time, who could stop him?
But fantasy football doesn't go into the playoffs or the Super Bowl.
But that's a lot of momentum to work off of.
But now O.J. Howard's going to be back again, and they still have Cameron Brate. And with all of those receivers, I think he's just going to be an afterthought. And you're going to be crossing your fingers in front of the TV, just saying, like, please, Gronk, get a touchdown, please. And that's just not how I like to play fantasy.
2 receptions for a touchdown and a 30-yard
and you're just like,
bomb.
Yeah!
I feel like Steve was saying we're Colby Parkinson.
Yeah, see, the Hawks homers are out.
I like that. Yeah, I think like Steven was saying with Brady, or like they might rest him so the legit playoffs, that's going to be 100% Gronk.
Yeah.
They're just going to be so dominant that I don't think they're going to need to throw the ball.
Their defense is good. Their run game is good.
They will be dominant, but Brady is the fucking dude. He's not going to take a day off.
He wants to put up numbers.
Yeah, well, he does what it takes to win. I think he would be fine taking the backseat to the run game to get to the playoffs, have his guys and him be fresh as a daisy, because they're going to just dominate all season. Then they're going to be able to huck the ball as they please, because everyone's going to be beat
that's
up.
How Brady rolls. He's fucking there all day.
And Bruce Arians is an asshole that wants to run up the score.
I think Brady is in control of that team. Bruce Arians is backseat. Brady's the guy. He's going to do.
Brady's going to take.
He's going to do. I think he's going to do whatever gives him the best chances of winning. And if that means leaning on the run game early on, so that he can keep his guys fresh and uninjured, that's what he's going to do.
But what if Mike Evans, AB,
They've all been injured in the past. He wants to keep them fresh. He wants
What if
full
they're like,
force
yo,
going into
we
late
just won the
season.
Super
And
Bowl. Why aren't we putting up record numbers? We're the best team.
But
Vegas
they're under
has him
Brady.
as leading the league in passing,
Why?
which
Number
blows
one
my
in
mind.
odds.
If
He threw 40 tuds last year.
yeah, and I think they were
Who's their backup?
Dude,
Somewhat
I am
rough.
done thinking that Tom Brady's gonna fall off.
Oh, I don't think he's gonna fall off. I think he's not gonna have to do.
Dude, that would be
All right, but we
things.
got to go back to tight ends. I'm gonna name a couple guys here, and you tell me who you're interested in.
Jonas.
These are some of the guys that I. Okay, well, all right. If you want to go
I-
to Jonnu,
Not
then where
touching
would
that
you
guy.
want Jonnu? I'm too scared of the double tight end thing,
Yeah.
even besides my whole 12 personnel thing.
I'm with you.
And Cam Newton, just because I like him as a fantasy quarterback, doesn't mean I want one of the weapons that he's throwing to.
Unless
Where would
it's-
you want Jonnu?
The secret guys I follow pointed Johnny out when he first broke out. I was one of the only
secret
people
guys?
that got him.
I said he's a great player. He is
I think
athletic
he is.
and a
I
great
just-
player.
I think he's gonna go off. Doesn't matter what system he is in.
Oh, you're gonna die on that hill up there.
I would take Jonu if I missed out on Pitts or Waller. Jonu is my next target, and that's just
Where would you like
Where?
that?
What round?
Because that, in terms of just try to be objective here, that is a cliff that you're going off of some of those other guys that you just named.
I just think the talent pool after those guys drops off, and then there's like a small window where you have the potential guys. You know, given what you like and whatnot. Jonu's in that, but Jonu's also proven he's the top dude.
He's a
got
great
the talent.
player. He is good.
So it's just like, oh, Patriot scheme, that could make him fall more. I think 7th, 8th for me.
That's where I think he's
maybe
gonna
I
go.
would take him in the 6th, depending on how my team's looking. I just sleep a lot better at night knowing that I don't have to play the waiver wire for a tight end. Because once you get past that hump, like, you're playing week to week tight ends.
Okay, now I throw Jonnu actually in with these other players. If you like him, like I love Irv Smith. I want Irv Smith there. But how about these guys? You know the Colts love throwing to the tight ends, and so does Carson Wentz. Jack Doyle has actually been a pretty good tight end. Anthony Ferkser, who now was stealing a lot of the receptions and touchdowns that Jonnu had last year. Because I had Jonnu, and it pissed me off when I'd see this big white dude freaking catching it instead of Jonnu. Ferkser, they didn't pay Jonnu because I think they like Ferkser. Jack Doyle, Ferkser, or who else did I have here? Gerald Everett, I think I would throw in there. And then Dawson Knox, who I think could end up being kind of a sleeper this year.
So we stole, what's his face, from the Colts. We didn't do anything. The old tight end the Hawks did. Dickerson?
We stole a guy from the Colts.
Yeah. It was always Jack Doyle and someone else. Because Jack Doyle was always kind of eating sloppy seconds.
It was Jack Doyle and the guy who went to the Steelers,
Eric Ebron.
Eric Ebron.
But
Ebron.
but Ebron was on the Steelers last year.
And Doyle does some good things. It's one of those things, if I'm taking someone like that, it might be good for a few weeks, but that's not my season-long tight end. I am constantly hunting someone.
So then Ferkser, Doyle, Dawson Knox, or Gerald Everett?
I
Knox.
don't think you gotta ask me that question. I'm taking Everett 100%.
I'll take Knox.
Because down there at the lower end, Dawson Knox has been getting hyped as this legit talent that we haven't seen it produce on the field. But when you're drafting that low,
I would take my
it's
shot on Knox before I would on Everett. I think Everett, he could pan out. I'd love to be wrong in that situation. Is what I'll leave that as. But I'd take Knox.
Well, then that's good. I think I like Ferkser. I think with Corey Davis leaving, vacating those targets, as well as Jonnu Smith, and working with that play action with Derrick Henry, I think I would actually take Ferkser in that situation. A lot of these other guys are dudes like Drew Sample, who like I'm not gonna fucking touch Drew Sample.
At most,
any of
I'd pick
those
him
guys.
up for a week when I'm hurting.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's a cost.
Cole Kmet, like they brought Jimmy Graham back. What does that tell you about the dude they drafted, Cole Kmet? Like I'm not touching him. Hooper, I wouldn't touch Austin Hooper now because Harrison Bryant actually looked pretty good last year. So when you've got multiple tight ends on one
feel
team
like
that catch
Cooper's
passes, I'm
always
not touching.
had so much hype, like he's gonna be the guy, and then something happens and he doesn't really do anything.
Dude, Austin Hooper was like, I think, what is he, tight end 2 years ago? 2 years ago?
Well, that's the focus. 3 years ago, and he's on Cleveland now. Do they still have what's his face?
They had Harrison Bryant.
Njoku?
They
Njoku.
still have
Njoku.
Njoku.
Yeah.
Freak.
Harrison Bryant was a rookie last year who actually outproduced Njoku and took his spot. And then Hooper. Like, Hooper will still be the starter, but
A quick aside. How old do you guys think Austin Hooper is?
26.
What year was he born in?
28.
Fuck.
93.
95.
94.
Oh, that's pretty close.
He's younger than me.
He's
He's
Yeah.
younger than me.
He's washed.
And getting paid
No.
way too much.
He's
Dude,
27.
If I'm taking a Browns tight end, it's Hooper over Njoku all day.
Well, yeah, I don't think Njoku's going to play. You were the Noah Fant guy last year.
I was.
He was getting dinged up a lot, but
The injuries did it for me. I think when he's on the field, he's really good. But when he's not on the field, he can't do nothing for you. And he was dinged up enough last year that in my mind, he's fragile right now. I'd love for him to prove me wrong, but I'm not taking him. I mean,
okay.
if he's there at the end of the draft and I have a questionable tight end, yeah, I'll pick him up. But I'm not targeting him in any sense.
Steve's reaching for Kelsey.
I think he's a first-round pick.
He's a first-round pick. I mean, he's a late first-round pick. I'm obviously not taking him over the top 4 running backs or 3 or 4 wide receivers.
I feel like the last 2 years, Steve's had Kelsey.
Dude,
Yeah, so-
I had him last year. And I had Gronk the year before. We're over an hour now.
okay.
We started right at 5.
Those are all the tight ends and everything that I wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
I haven't.
We went over our late round strategies for QB, the guys we like in the middle and top. I think that was pretty much everything we wanted to cover. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
Okay, I think one, unless we're super close on time.
I think we're past an hour, so I think right now we can just kind of screw around, do whatever,
Yeah.
right?
I think what we could do is maybe run through the Seahawks schedule real quick.
Okay.
It just got released.
Jenny, can you pull up the Seahawks schedule?
Yeah.
I can pick all day.
Producer Jenny.
Yeah.
We could
Get
just-
on it.
I heard I did a brief look, and we have a very difficult schedule.
It's a tough schedule. But when you win the division, like, okay, we won the division last year. Woohoo for us.
Okay,
Excuse
the
me?
First game's actually against the Colts.
Yeah. So that's a preseason. Oh, no.
September 12th. Yeah, no. So
Yeah.
August is preseason. September 12th is the first official.
So
That's a pick-em against
we
the
have
Colts.
only 2 10 a.m. games, and that first one's the first game against the Colts. What do you guys think about the Colts?
Right now, the Colts are favored, I think, by
That's
1.5.
going to be a tough game.
But they're
We
at
are
home.
favored. Oh, maybe.
No, the Colts are
Are you
up.
sure?
When they came out, I looked at the opening week lines. Colts are
So
favored.
you're actually looking at lines?
Dude, I'm fucking obsessed with this shit.
So my main thing, 10 a.m. We do good on 10 a.m. games. These last couple of years, we have done good on the road. But the Colts, they don't have Marlon Mack. They do have Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, who needs
He's
Marlon
He's
Mack?
a savage. But Wentz is his first game against the Hawks.
If you want to play against the Colts early,
You
I
wanna
think is
play
the time.
Against them week 1.
Agreed.
So I'm showing that the Colts are favored.
Mm-hmm. Is it 1.5? That's what it opened at. It would be juiced up or down.
I'm
since
seeing
then.
2.5.
Mhm. So people have been betting Colts. But
Are they minus
when you're
or
at
plus?
home, you pretty much get
Seahawks are
3
plus
points.
2.5.
So that's a pick 'em.
So I like the Hawks in that game. That might be Homer, but I legit
Might be Homer.
unbiased thing is for the Hawks.
I agree you would want to play the Colts early on.
And the Tennessee Titans, same with the Titans.
It's going to
Derrick
be...
Henry doesn't heat up till later in the season.
Well, back to the Colts real quick before we move
It's at
on.
home.
It's going to be, what's his name's first game
Yeah.
with the Colts.
That's what we're saying, yeah.
I think it's going to be a tough one, even still. Wentz.
Yeah.
It's going to be a tough one, even still, just because their offensive line is fucking really good and their defense is pretty damn good.
Wentz may only throw like 20 passes, and the Colts can still win. But I agree that I would probably still bet the Hawks just because of
You're
Wentz's
taking
first
the
game with them.
pessimistic side of the Hawks.
I'm an objective fan. As hard and as weird as that is, you can be objective as a fan of your team.
That's bullshit.
We have the worst corner group in the league.
Tennessee Titans.
Just throwing that in there.
We do.
Moving on.
Tennessee Titans. That is a tough game.
I would feel much more comfortable taking the Hawks over Titans than the Hawks over Colts.
Same.
So
Especially
And
at
even
home.
even probably the Vikings in that as well.
we're playing at Lumen Field. I will say, yeah.
That's our new stadium. It's
Lumen.
yeah.
The Clink.
Lumen.
R.I.P. the Clink.
Yeah. Lumen.
Playing at Lumen Field.
It's fucking Quest.
There's actually going to be fans there. Mason Leather leaked to us because his family's a ticket holder.
I don't trust anything he says.
I saw 30 out of 32 franchises announced 100% fans are allowed back.
Yes.
So there are going to be fans there. I think it's just like the Colts, the best time to play a strong team like that's early. And the Hawks, these last couple of years, have started out strong early. I think it's a toss-up though. But I'm leaning the Hawks.
I think I would take. What's the line on that one? You have the line.
The line on the Tennessee game?
Yeah.
I'll look it up. Seahawks.
I don't
While we're
even know
looking
if
this
they have
up,
it.
Derrick Henry is my favorite football player.
Yeah.
I love Derrick Henry.
If
Yeah,
anybody
he's
can't
just
hear that,
He's
yeah.
just got a hunk of shit hanging out the back of his helmet. I think.
Honestly,
I mean, no disrespect. Literally, the vision of it, I don't like it. I love the dude. I love the player. I think he's an awesome guy, and I think he's a great player. I just hate that fucking ponytail.
his rat tail.
Yes.
I followed a bunch of his workouts and like his upbringing and shit.
I showed Jenny. I was like, "This is your favorite player. He's a
he
beast."
is a beast, and he's so cool, chill about it, and it's just like he is literally King Henry.
I don't like one player swinging bets and everything like that unless it's a quarterback. But if the Titans end up landing Julio Jones, I would not be betting on the Seahawks. In
The
that
Hawks
game.
are favored by 4.5 points.
That makes sense to me.
So depending on that game, if that was in December, I'm
I'm not touching
scared
it.
as fuck.
Yeah.
'Cause I don't want to. I know our guys don't want to. Nobody wants to tackle Henry.
No.
King of the North, Henry.
Vikings.
schedule
So the
show?
Vikings always play us tough. We somehow manage to go on top.
It's because we injure their best player.
That is like even last year when they
For
were
real,
coming
though.
in against us pretty low. Like
Oh,
I took a shit.
Thanks, Jenny.
Vikings are still a really tough team.
Yeah, they always play us tough. The game is always like, I would never bet on the Hawks against the Vikings only because I just think the Vikings will end up covering the spread.
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if we dropped that game, but I could say that about the first two. I just feel like the first two we just have such better matchups. The Vikings are they're a tough team.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I'm gonna say Viking. I'm gonna say us, but really, I don't know. That's a toss-up.
I think we could go 3-0. There could definitely be a trip up that could make us end up going 2-1 in those first games. But then, like,
Which I would be happy.
dude! Then as soon as we get out of those 3 games, we have the Niners, Rams, Steelers, Saints.
yeah,
So it depends on the Niners. What if Trey Lance that's his first game starting?
I would be just
No.
as scared as if it were Jimmy G.
I
Yes, I would
If you,
be.
I think if
I'm never
anything,
afraid of a rookie QB.
if anything,
Unless it's Robert
I'll give a
Griffin
reason
or
why.
Lance,
Which he very much could be.
Lance playing against the Hawks that week would be the best possible scenario because that means Jimmy G's playing like shit, and they gotta roll the dice on Lance. If Jimmy G's playing even halfway okay, it's gonna be tough. It's a good time to take.
Hawks top D line in NFC.
Oh shit!
So yeah, what if there's a chance if Alex Smith or not Alex Smith,
Jimmy G.
no, the guy who
Trey Lance.
a new D lineman who choked a dude out or fought a dude.
Alden Smith.
Oh.
Smith.
That's right.
I followed Deanie Smith. What if he does come back? It wouldn't be surprising in the NFL.
If he
But
comes
there's-
back, I'd be.
There's chance if he doesn't come back, people are already saying the Hawks could be looking at Justin Houston. Old Batty, but he was a legend.
Yeah.
I'd rather have Alden Smith for
Either
sure.
way, yeah, me too. But either way, like Alden Smith for me was just the cherry on top. We could have a really good D line. I don't think it's going to be better than the Rams.
We're good.
We're good.
I don't think. I think the Seahawks actually have one of the worst D lines in the NFC.
In
All
the
of those
NFC,
guys.
but the NFC's probably got four of the
that's-
top
I
6
think that's
D
a hot
lines in
take
the
if we
league.
finish
It's
top
not a
five.
hot take. It's only a hot take to Seahawks fans who think that Darryl Taylor, LJ Collier, and Alton Robinson are like the next fucking Watt brothers. Like, all of that is projection BS that nobody can actually give some concrete evidence of why the Seahawks D-line is good. We lost our best D-lineman!
We
I-
no, we lost our best D tackle. We got our best D lineman back.
Yeah, I don't think.
I think we have the worst D line in the NFC West.
I absolutely.
I don't think that's
No.
very hard to
No?
admit.
Who
That
could
said-
you go against? The Cardinals?
I still think we have a decent D line in terms of the league.
I guess I could. That's possible, but I think NFC West also has the potential to be top 3, top 4 D line in the whole NFC.
Seahawks have the potential to be top.
I think we have a top 5 for sure.
Yeah.
Is this another Seahawks defense bet coming on? At 12's bet?
When Carlos Dunlap came back the second half of the season, we did have a top 5 defense.
I know, but what has Kerry Hyder actually done in the NFL? Carlos Dunlap had some sacks for us, but also was horrible in the run game.
Hyder had 10 sacks last season.
No, he did not.
Yes.
Kerry Hyder?
Yes,
He
did.
absolutely did not.
Look it up.
Let's see it.
Jenny,
I'll look.
Jenny,
Or
And
Jenny.
sacks don't mean everything. Just because Dunlap had
Yeah,
some sacks
because-
for us doesn't show how many times he was getting mauled in the run game.
So I will say one thing I looked up. Niners were pissed we took Hyder because Hyder
To be their fourth string end?
Hyder stepped in when Bosa went out.
How the fuck are you supposed to say?
Kerry is Kerry. Hyder is
Yeah.
HY.
I'm be honest with you, Jenny. That was how I initially Googled it too. When Adrian told me we got him, I Googled Cary.
Very higher. His stats. I don't know.
So
Oh, my
regular
glasses on.
season.
Puna Ford.
8.5. Wait, is it 2020 or 2021?
His
Regular
career is 16 and a
season
half.
is 8.5. Career is 18.5.
That's going with one of the best D lines
That
in the
would've
game to
been-
run off of.
That would have been top Seahawks. And Puna Ford.
Yeah, Puna Ford is a good player, but like
We
come
have a
on.
we have a good amount of good players. We don't have. I would say we don't have any studs.
We don't have any studs, and we have a lot of unproven players. LJ Collier has not done shit in the NFL. Darrell Taylor was hurt last year. We don't even know what he is. The best guy who I saw who had some splashes was Alton Robinson. Who? How many sacks did he get?
What
Like
about
3 or
Carlos
4?
Dunlap?
I don't
Dunlap's
think
legit.
that Dunlap,
He's
when you have
legit.
some splash plays, it
He's
puts in
legit.
your mind that he's a good player. But you also don't take into account how many times he got beat. Because it's a lot harder to see that during the actual game. How many yards did Cam Akers run for in the playoffs? They were running right against his side of the line over and over again for over 150 yards.
They were. We couldn't get them off the field, but our offense at the same time couldn't do anything.
Hey, Squeeze, I'm working on it, okay?
Rasheem Green about to kill it. Like, oh my God. This is the Homersville.
I don't think it's
Okay,
a
let's
stretch
go-
to say
let's
that
go
the
back to the
Seahawks
schedule.
have the worst D line
Let's go back to the schedule.
in the NFC West. I don't think
That's
anyone.
not even close.
I think the vast majority, even of fans, probably won't argue that.
Well, the homers that I'm
But I
seeing-
think we still have a decent line, and we have a good enough offense, QB, and assuming that our defense carries on from where it was last year, a good enough defense, we can
So
still.
we have
You haven't
potential-
done shit in the NFL. Like, no duh.
We have
Like, what?
potential for 3-0.
But that means that we don't know what he is.
And then-
Saying that they're really good, like, doesn't mean anything.
So then we go to the Niners as our 4th game. We're going in potentially 3-0 to Levi Stadium. We don't know who's starting, whether it's Jimmy G or Trey Lance. I think it sounds like you're hoping it's Jimmy G.
I'm hoping it's Jimmy G.
I think I'm hoping it's Trey Lance because that means Jimmy G's.
Season,
Purely because that means Jimmy G's not playing well and the Niners aren't winning games.
Or it's the fact that they want to get their number 3 overall pick in the game.
Dude,
Jimmy G hasn't done shit
with
for them.
with Pat Mahomes, if they're winning games,
it's a 3-0.
there's no reason for them to put their number 3 pick in.
Unless they're winning games not from their quarterback, but from their dominant zone run game and filthy defense.
I think it's the smartest thing for the Niners to do, as long as they're winning games, the Pat Mahomes treatment. Sit him behind a veteran QB who knows the league for a year.
But
and
we're
then
not
let him
talking
play.
about what would be best for the Niners. We're talking about that game for the Seahawks. I would rather them play Jimmy G because we know what he is. He's not an athletic specimen. What? What does that even mean?
I don't know, but
TJ's
I think
all about the defense.
if Trey Lance is
It's all
starting
about the
against
Hawks,
us,
which is nice, but that's Homer.
if Trey Lance is starting against us, that means things are not going well for the Niners. That's what I want to see.
I don't agree with that.
I think right now the
I'd rather
goals.
play Trey Lance fresh out the fucking womb. Trey Lance.
But you, like, and I understand where you guys are coming from. My point with it is, and I'm not trying to push back against it because I'm not standing that hard on this. I'm scared of Kyle Shanahan. I don't give a shit who their quarterback is. What scares me is what Kyle Shanahan can do with it.
With
They
Trey
were winning
Lance.
games in the playoffs with Jimmy Garoppolo throwing 8 passes. 8!
So
Now imagine them
okay.
get a running quarterback similar to what he had with Robert Griffin III in Washington.
Let me
who had
ask
one of
you
the best
this.
rookie seasons of all time.
Let me ask you this: does it make a difference to you whether it's Trey Lance's 3rd game or 4th game? I guess since that's the 4th game of the season, or 1st. Does it matter to you if it's
Sure.
so? Would you
But
rather?
is it at home or away?
So
if he plays in Lumen Field in his first game, I don't think the 49ers would do that. to
So
him.
Lumen
think
Field,
they do that.
Lumen
Yeah.
Field with this schedule. Oh, it is.
It's at Levi, yeah.
Okay, so so they're at home. So does it make a difference whether you'd want to play Lance or Jimmy, depending on how many games he's played?
No, because I don't think Jimmy Garoppolo is very good.
So you'd rather play Jimmy Garoppolo, even if he's played the first 4 games.
Look at how in our
When-
recent past of Jimmy Garoppolo playing against the Seahawks. Have you ever been scared of Jimmy G?
Dude, every
We've beaten
game
his
we've...
ass down.
But it's been pretty close. Pretty sure it's been pretty
It
close
has
every
been pretty
time.
close.
I'm scared of the unknown with Trey Lance and his athletic ability paired with a genius
So
on the
answer
offensive
this.
side of the ball of Kyle
So,
Shanahan.
Jimmy G starting, loss or W? Prediction.
I think we lose.
With Jimmy G
Yeah.
and Trey Lance starting.
So you think we lose either way?
I think we lose either way.
So you're talking
The
about-
Niners are my low key pick to bet on for the Super Bowl. I know that I can be in the minority with that, but their
usually
roster
with the Niners,
is
I'm just
stacked
saying,
with
usually
good players.
Usually with the Niners, we split it. So now we'll go to Steve
I do not
Steve
hate
against the
Pete Carroll,
Rams.
but don't like him.
at home. So we're going into the Rams game.
At Lumen Field?
3-1 at Lumen Field.
Dude,
It's gonna be a tough game.
I'm not confident against the Rams. I'm super
I'm
high
not
on
confident
Stafford.
against the Rams either.
They only lost a few people on defense. They didn't really lose anybody of note on the offense.
The
I'm
only
not-
thing that can take them down is injuries to their stud players.
Yeah, I mean, the Seahawks, thank the fucking Lord, can pull some magical shit and win games that I don't think they're going to win, even being a fan. So that's what I'm praying for at this point, because San Fran and the Rams are looking fucking nice.
I have the Seahawks finishing third in the division.
I have them finishing second. I think either the Rams or the Niners. It's going to be really close between those three, and the Seahawks are going to pull some. If you're not a Seahawks fan, they're going to pull some bullshit and just fucking win somehow some games they shouldn't, and we'll be second.
Are they gonna get a wild card spot?
That's what I'm hoping
They
for.
could still make the
We'll-
playoffs and
we'll-
finish third,
We'll get to the
and
playoffs,
that I think
but
can definitely
right
happen.
now we
It's in
gotta
the realm.
do a W or L for
Alright.
the Rams game.
I think we're losing.
L.
So we go into the Pittsburgh Steelers game at 3-2 away.
That's
I
a
think
dub.
They beat the Steelers for
Yeah.
We're
sure.
coming off 2 L's.
We
just got smacked around
smack
in
the
NFC West.
Steelers.
I think we smack the Steelers too.
I do too. So we go into New Orleans Saints. I don't know who the fuck
That's a
his
home game.
QB is. It's
Yeah.
4-2.
That's gonna be a.
Go
That's
back
a
to
dub.
quarter.
We win the.
We lost to the Saints last year with Teddy Two Glove.
That was a couple
Or
years
a couple
ago.
years ago. Fuck.
With
So alright, it's either Famous Jameis with the crab legs.
the
the
Stealing them out of the
Center.
Steal him out of the Pike Place.
yeah.
Or it's what's his face? Fucking Swiss Army knife.
That is such a pick 'em. I honestly think we're better than the Saints, but
I do too.
but their coaching scares me. Yeah.
So right now we're 4-2. We just beat the Steelers. That's a huge game.
Real quick shout
I
out
say
to
we win at
Tots.
home.
Real quick shout out to Tots. I think you're right. I think the LA Seahawks.
The LA
Then-
Seahawks.
No, LA's first, Seahawks second,
Jill
Niners
shit on
third,
his own
and
team. Eastern?
Cardinals fourth.
They're from
Anyway.
the FCS conference, same as Eastern Weak Sauce. You should be repping the Eagles, man.
Tots, who won the chip last year in fantasy? I'm just saying. Okay, so then I think we beat the Saints at home. I think we're gonna smack the Jaguars. They have a young and
So,
up and coming
that
team,
would
but
be- we go 3-2, 4-2, 5-2, 6-2. We get a bye week. We're rested. Then we play the Packers.
if
We-
Rodgers there, we lose.
Rodgers-
Rodgers picks our base defense apart
That's
every
a good
time we
point.
play him.
Or it could be on Jeopardy that week. We don't know.
Yeah. If it's Jordan Love, we're smacking them
Jordan Love,
cakes.
you might be fucked.
Oh, fuck you. You're so nuts.
With
man.
Aaron Rodgers, that's a good. I think that's going to be the test. How good we are. If the Hawks somehow beat the Packers during this, I think we are legit with Rodgers out. And if Shane Waldron is just cooking on everybody, I think this is when we can tell. I mean, that's a perfect bye week. That's what week
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
week 9 in a
And we're at home for
17
2
games
weeks
in,
before that.
yeah.
We're at home for 3 weeks straight.
Okay,
But if Rodgers is there, he picks us apart every time. Cardinals, I think we win at home. Absolutely. So we're looking pretty damn good coming out of the gates.
Going in, that's what, 3 and
We've lost only 2 games so far through week.
we lost against the Niners. We lost against the Rams. We're gonna just chalk
Saints
it up
is
as
tough.
an L against the Packers. I don't.
Yeah.
Want
Oh no, Packers are beating us if Rodgers is there.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 and 3.
And then I think our streak
7 and
ends
3
with
with the
Washington
Cardinals.
football team.
You're high on the Washington football team.
Oh, absolutely.
They're at FedEx Field.
Yeah.
That's Washington.
Didn't know.
But
I'm very high on the football
we did
team.
beat him we did beat him last year.
Barely with Dwayne
To make
Haskins.
that bigger.
Yeah.
Dwayne Haskins was trying to get a game-winning drive against us.
Awesome. Thank you.
It cuts off though. So
That's fine.
all right.
I'm just blind.
No, I understand, and it's hard to see.
So
What we got to is if Rodgers is there with the Packers, they beat us in Lambeau. I think we beat the Cardinals.
yeah.
Their coaching to me is such bullshit. Their offensive scheme is just so ridiculous. Then I have them losing to Washington football team on the road.
So what is that? What do we got? We got
It was 6-2 a second ago.
6-2, and we lose against what? The
The
Rams
Packers.
and the Packers.
Yeah.
And the Niners. I got them losing to the Niners.
So we're 5-3 at that point.
That's 9. So 7, 8. We're 3 and
3-5
No.
or 5-3. 5-3.
I'm not sure it works.
1, 2, 3, 2, 4, 5, 6, and 3. 7-3 after the Cardinals. After Washington football team would be 7-4 for me. I think we lose to the football team.
7-4, and then we go against Houston. So 8-4.
Well, we got Niners again after 7-4 at home. I'm pretty much like God with the division.
Yeah, I
It's
gotta
almost
close-
just a
close
split
my laptop.
1-1 for every team is how I see it. But
We're right here.
So the Niners,
We're
and
gonna
that's
win that
at
Niners
Lumen.
game, we're gonna lose that Niners game.
dude, these are such pick'ems.
I think we're gonna win at that point. As
At
throwback
home
to what
give them payback.
Todd said, they're a fragile team.
They were fragile for one season.
They were fragile. They
went to the Super Bowl the
when-
year before.
the year before that when they had Jimmy G and they had just signed their running back McKinnon.
That was the
Both
year
of them
before
got
that.
injured.
But McKinnon, like
They're the only reason they
they could
haven't
stick
been.
you at running back, and he would be able to get yards.
Okay,
with their
well,
scheme and offensive.
I very
line.
much appreciate that because I don't think they can stick just anyone in there. I think they have a knack for picking pretty good running backs.
Exactly, so that's why they don't need McKinnon. But
But I'm saying the only thing that's been holding them back is injuries.
that
And
was
it
only
seemed-
last season. The year before that, they went to the Super Bowl.
But the year before that, they had a rash of injuries, and the year before that, they had a rash of
That
injuries.
can happen to any team. Saying that a
But-
team is injury prone is way too narrative based.
No, it's not their team. It's their players that are injury prone. Granted, Jimmy G has been replaced. He is injury prone. He's an injury prone player. Their top D line guy.
Because Nick Bosa got hurt
Nick
in his
Bosa.
second
Alright, I'ma hop
season.
in right
He
now.
got one injury.
So that's he's
So
one.
he's
He's
injury
1 for
prone.
2. He's 1 for 2. That's
Wait, wait,
50%
wait.
injury
This
right
is
now.
the
There
NFL.
ain't no way, as much as Corey loves the Niners, there ain't no way we're going 0-2.
I said we win at home.
We
I
win.
say we split.
We already win. So either game, we gotta win one.
So we'd be 8-4 going into the
8-4. And we're
Texans,
going
so we
against the
win that
Texans,
game.
Who could be possibly the worst team in the league?
They could go win this.
9-4, and then we got a lot of momentum. We're going to LA to face the Rams.
I say we
and
lose.
possibly the worst QB in the NFC West. Matt Stafford. We're gonna go 0-2 against the Rams.
For sure.
I think that is, if we're gonna go 0-2 against anybody,
They
it's
have
gonna
our
be the
number
Rams.
even when their offense blows. Like
Even when they were a dog shit team,
they would
were
still
beating
beat us. Winning 4 games a year, they'd still beat us.
Yeah.
Aaron Donald wins single-handedly going against Ethan Posick.
Aaron Donald's is
I hope
Russ's
you guys get surprised.
kryptonite.
I
Yeah.
hope you guys get surprised next year, but
So do I.
it's
I
two against one.
Yeah,
I
same,
really
like-
hope I do.
So we're 9-5, which is a great record for a 16-game season. That's 17 going against the Bears.
That's right. We got an abnormal number of games coming
Bears
up.
are a tough team.
The
Yeah.
Bears. We're gonna
It's
beat
gonna be
the
hard to know.
I
Bears
feel like it's just gonna be like, how is Justin Fields doing?
unless Fields is
Fields Robert Griffin?
fucking awesome. The Bears is gonna be an easy dub.
Bears have a good defense.
They have a good defense, but they got a
I think
shit
Matt
offense.
Nagy is a fucking idiot.
I
He's-
don't.
But he's also had a bad QB to work with. so
Yeah,
it's
I
hard
do
to
not
really
think
tell.
Nagy's an idiot at all. Number one, 2 years ago, he won Coach of the Year. But, so I definitely wouldn't say he's an idiot. But this guy won 8 games last year with Mitch Trubisky and Nick Foles as his QBs.
I say that because of how little he ran the ball with my boy.
Bruh, David Montgomery was what, RB4 last year?
He
in
was
total
dirty,
points?
but that was
filthy.
he. I will say, in Adrian's
This
defense,
is the
there
bias. Like,
Montgomery got his number 4 spot in like the last 4 or 5 games.
because he was balling.
He was absolutely, but before that, he was very underutilized.
So we're chalking it as a dub. It sounds like
He was a
5 against
The Lions, who we win,
Anakin Skywalker, Jared Goff.
we're going to trounce the Lions.
Yeah.
So we're not even gonna review.
our kneecaps.
No,
Our
that's a
kneecaps
dub.
are safe.
Yeah.
And then we end it, which I'm pretty sure. Did we take the first dub against the Cardinals?
I said we win.
I think we're
At
gonna go
home.
2-0 against the Cardinals.
I think so too.
Unless we're doing really well, and the Cardinals, like, if we end up winning, if we end up being like fucking having 10 or 11 wins at that point, yeah, they'll probably beat us. But if there's like any doubt of us making the playoffs, we'll win.
Something that's sorry. Go ahead. No,
I was gonna say 12-5 does not sound like third place. That sounds like potential first place in the NFC West.
I
But
don't
we
think so.
also have a really good. It's at least.
this is adding an
12.
extra game as well.
And
But
that keeps fucking.
and
me
some
up.
of these games that we've called, all of the divisional games could be pick'ems. We had them beating the Saints. The Saints have had our number and beat us at home when it was CenturyLink. Beat us at home with Teddy Two Gloves because we couldn't tackle Alvin Kamara.
That's also early on when our defense wasn't good. Before
No, this
Carlos
was a
came in.
couple
2
years
years
ago.
ago. 2 years
You know,
ago.
a few years before that, Marshawn Lynch. We can talk years back, but
He did have the Beastquake
he did
against
have
him.
the Beastquake. It goes hand in hand with the Saints.
When none of those players are still on the Saints or on the Seahawks.
The soul of beast mode lives on the Seahawks.
So if we draft Julio Jones, does that
Or
change?
if
we
we
trade
trade
for
for
him?
Julio, bro,
That
then-
changes
oh my
everything.
God, like,
Right.
If we have
Uh,
Julio Jones, we're winning the division. We're going to the Super Bowl. God forbid injuries, we're winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I mean, he would just make our offense
There's a
that
good
good.
point about Julio. It's like, why would we need him when our wide receiver team is already good? And you think about like the Bucks and stuff, like winning teams, they'll get people who they don't need just because they add that extra.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
most
injury.
teams don't have.
Not only that, but injuries happen.
Injuries.
When you got 3 stud wide receivers, when one goes down, it's really not that big a deal.
And it's not just getting the player. Getting Julio Jones would take less safety help over the top for DK Metcalf. Moving Tyler Lockett, who is obviously good enough to win on the outside anyway, moving Tyler Lockett into your slot that can be going deep from the slot. Like,
Never a stack
we're
box.
filthy. Like,
Yeah.
That's doing
it's not just get.
That's doing Esker.
We should be running 4 wide receiver sets anyway.
That's true.
Like the
But we could
Seahawks.
also add 12 personnel with Disley and Everett. It's gonna be a fun
Disley
offense.
sucks. Like
He can block though.
Yeah, all right. Then you want to run with Chris Carson until he gets hurt and then throw.
Yep.
The game is going toward slinging it. And, like, Julio not only is one of the GOATs at wide receiver, like, he's one of my all-time favorite players.
Julio
I
is
love Julio.
the man of the
I also
NFL.
want to make a bet with witnesses. We got 3 potentially.
I'm here.
Yeah.
4.
And Hawks that are going to get first in the NFC West.
Hawks
You
are?
want to bet them for first?
I'll take that bet. How
I'll
much
take
you
the
want to bet?
too.
I'll take a
A Hawks bet, $12.
bottle of yak.
All right.
Bottle of yak.
I like
2
that.
bottles of yak.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
With me first.
Something that we're going to have to do, and I've thought about this, is like, this is my plan. Through the weeks after the games, we have NFL Game Pass that condenses the games into like fucking 35 minutes or whatever. I'm going to be watching all the games.
Yeah.
We're going to need to have like Yak Player of the Week.
So I was talking about this. You went to the bathroom. So I think once a week after, I think probably Tuesdays or Thursday, whatever we decide, the first show after the week is completely done, we got a shot of the week for the player of that weekend.
And it's probably going to be Tyreek Hill half the time.
And the other half, he's going to score single-digit points.
Player and the
Offensive.
team of the week, highest points.
I mean, we're sipping on yak.
Fantasy owner, like that should
I
be a big.
I think that should be the winner of the week should just come on the show. And then he can toot his own horn.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to, every week, I'm going to send out a text to everybody saying who would want to come on, and give their piece. And, like, if everybody's busy, whatever, us boys come on. If nobody is available, then I'll fucking do it by myself if I have to.
Yeah, I'll be there.
But, hold it down, Jenny. But every week I'm going to try to get people to go. But I still, when there's, like, there were so many games.
Hey, Walker on HGO. Pretty sure that's Danny. Jill.
Walking on water, yeah, it's Danny.
Yes!
100%.
What's good, Danny?
Bet them for first.
Squeeze,
Yeah,
I'm so
Walker
hyped
in
for you to be
first.
back on the west side. God damn it.
Yeah.
But-
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to be trying every week, text people to see who wants to come on. But, like, in our fantasy games, there's always, when it's almost the playoffs, there's always so many games where, like, teams really freaking need that win and are against each other. I want to try to do, like,
Rivalry.
yeah, like
Rivalry
get
of
two
the week.
homies
Rivalry
on
of the
and
week.
like bullshit leading up. It's like the tail of the tape or whatever before the fight. Like,
Yeah. I also want to have a rant section.
yeah.
Like when your quarterback is scoring 8 points a drive and they bench him because he's playing too well. That deserves a
Still
rant.
So burned
That deserves a rant.
Josh Allen. Like,
So
Wait.
like just like you were saying, NFL's game of the week, America's game of the week, and then you have what's the one where it's like
Hey, shout out to the
Yeah.
board of certification exam today. Good shit, Squeeze.
hey,
Fucking
attaboy.
big boy.
Good shit, man.
But what was it? It was like boomers like of the week, like the most fucking place.
Whoops.
Yeah, whoops. But you could do something like that where it's just like, yeah, the fucked up stars or like he ended up being good and then he was taken out kind of thing, or like a player was good and then he suddenly was taken out last minute.
I couldn't find it. I don't know what the fuck you talking about.
Yeah, Jenny, you can't spell what?
It's like a whoopee cushion.
Squawk.
Boomer whoop, like W-H-O-O-P.
But I think definitely Yak Player of the Week is
Oh, yeah.
going to be big.
And that'll have to be a shot. Shot of yak.
Okay.
Ah,
Yeah.
Maybe he doesn't have it.
Hennessy's going to be on deck, apparently.
You could look at
Yeah, we're gonna be a
I'm going from
Customer of
bourbon to
Hennessy.
cognac.
That's the fucking child. Like, I'm done here.
Good try, though, Jenny.
Thank you.
But yeah.
We'll show you. It's pretty good.
But yes, thank you all for coming in, and anybody who ends up watching this afterwards.
fuck you.
I'm so looking
I'm just
forward
playing.
to this
We
shit.
went a little over an hour, but it was cool.
Well, we had a scheduled hour in 10 minutes or so, and then we kind of just did.
And we can
whatever
fuck
wanted.
around afterwards. And
Yeah.
that can be a thing. If we've got time, we could do our original planned out things, for an hour or whatever, and then bullshit afterwards.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be ranting about Pete Carroll's base 3 linebacker defense. You can bet on that.
Yeah.
You guys need to take a shot to end it.
Cheers.
Oh, we probably should take a shot to. You start it, you end it, you take a shot. Boobies.
I can't take a shot.
I was going to say, you got your big...
I got
Your
it.
big
Pour-
to go, dude.
Pour a shot of beer then, you pussy.
Yeah.
And plus,
Thank you
I
very
ain't
much,
working
Jenny.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
Neither.
Maybe
Well,
we should
actually,
take
I
it,
probably am
cheers.
too.
And Squeeze, I want my damn trophy.
Squeeze Joey needs his trophy.
You got both our trophies.
Good work, guys.
Good shit, boys.
Cheers. Thank you, Jenny.
Yeah. Well, all right. We're ending it.
Deuces.
Thank you guys.